Look at us. We're here. We're doing it live.
Yeah, we're alive and we're doing it.
We are alive and we're live. It's me, Rod, and you, Zach, doing it.
Yeah.
On a Sunday. It's nice to talk to you on a Sunday. You look fresh.
So nice to talk to you. I'm yogurt. I've been stretched out. I've been yogurt. I have been caffeinated. I've been to a supermarché. It's all happening because you're winding down, right? Sunday evening.
Yeah,
the weekend's
Sunday evening.
Done. This is like this is your weekend, like after dinner mint. Like you've had the cocktail. Like you are just now just in the smoking room, billiards maybe, perhaps that kind of thing. Yeah. I think that's
I have tomorrow off, so it doesn't feel like it feels like Saturday for me. But normally this would be like either race time to get psyched or sleepy time to get sleepy. One of those two things. But it's just been there's been so many big developments in just the last few days, and it's like another 2 or 3 weeks before our next scheduled podcast. I was like, that won't do. So we have to do a quick live.
Emergency
and I wanted
podcast.
I put out the SOS to say, Zach, I can't handle all these topics by myself. Please help me. So here we are. The two big things. I have a strong opinion about which one's the bigger news, but I'd be interested to hear what you think about this. You know the two things that we want to talk about first. So which one do you think is the bigger one?
What's the bigger one? I think the Newey news is bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. What do you think?
I think so too.
Yeah.
So if you've been living on another planet, the news has broken and been confirmed that Adrian Newey will be leaving Red Bull. Now, there's a whole bunch of other details about that are still a bit unclear, but it's been, I guess, speculated for a long time that he might be one of the characters that might be on the move, along with Max Verstappen, along with Helmut Marko. But, I mean...
If they all leave, though, right?
Christian Horner leaves. Perez is just left there by himself to do everything. It's going to be...
Changing his own tyres.
It's going to be entertaining.
Up and out. He's got 2 cars. Maybe he doesn't have to change tyres because he just has the second car ready to go. One stops every race. He just hops out, jumps in a new car.
Adrian Newey, the guy who designs, he's the absolute engineering genius who has been behind so much success in Formula One. Apparently, he's got between drivers and constructors championships 20 constructors to his name.
Exactly.
Success at Williams. Lots of success at Red Bull of late, and I mean. He tried to step away.
Right?
Yes. He tried to step away at one point. They started to fade, and then he was like, just kidding, and stepped back in, and they started dominating. So
he was like, I suppose I've got this other notebook of stuff you could use if you really wanted it. Like, here's all my ideas for the next couple of sets of regulations. Yes.
So it's not confirmed where he's going or exactly when, but they first got reported as rumors from some not less than reputable, but not the people that I necessarily... take to the bank with their opinions to say it's confirmed Adrian Newey's leaving, and I was like, I'll just wait until someone else confirms that, and then 5 minutes later the BBC confirmed Adrian Newey is leaving. I was like, well, this is it then. This is happening.
This is it.
The question I guess is where might he go and when? Some speculation that it won't be until basically 2026. Like basically 2026, but does that mean that he might leave at the start of next year? Does it mean that he might not be able to work on the 2026 car at all? He'd have to wait till 2027. I think those are just sort of finer details that will work themselves out. Maybe the more interesting question is, where might he go?
Well, I mean, it's got to be Ferrari, but it might not be, because it could be. It could be that these two news stories are linked together in that it could be an Audi thing, right? But I can imagine that Adrian would only really want to move for wherever he's going to go. They're either going to give him one. It's these two things, right? And I think they're at kind of either ends of the spectrum. It's either I want to work like 3 days a week. I want to like be a like non-executive director. I want to be a mentor. I want to be like, cool, I will help. You know, let's talk. Like, this is kind of what like Johnny Ive did at Apple before he left, right? He's like, I don't want to do everything. I want to go work on these fun, other interesting projects. Give me your cream of your crop, and I will tell them where they're wrong and where they should be right.
Yes.
Because I want to go design more yachts. I want to go design more Aston Martin, Valkyrie, like Formula One cars, but on roads. I want to go and design the next AeroPress. Yeah. These are the things, right? Or it's the complete opposite of that. He's like, I want full creative control. If I say we're putting fucking dorsal fins on this car, that is what is happening. And you either give me full creative control and I will take you to heights you have never seen, never felt, or I'm not in. So what do you think? Do you think it will be those two? Do you think I've got that read right?
Well, I think in the short term, he's staying in Formula One. I think beyond that, who knows? Obviously, he's getting old, but I think part of leaving Red Bull signifies his mentality of my time in Formula One is limited. Like the clock's ticking. Maybe I'll stuff around in Formula One for a bit longer, see if I can help another team. And then
reinvent themselves.
What else do I want to do in the rest of my life? So that's his short to midterm stuff sorted out. So he'll be in Formula One for a few more years, I'm sure. Very highly rumored that he will be going to, well, Ferrari is a big possibility. We know there's big money on the table. The barrier for him going to Ferrari has always been, I don't want to move to Italy. I don't want to move my family. I just don't want to live in Italy. It's weird there. They don't speak English there. The gelati's really good, but other than that, no good. So if he follows, I mean, yeah, I'm sure he would love to design a Ferrari. Just design a Ferrari, but also design a Ferrari that wins a championship. I'm sure he would love to do that. So I feel like that's his heart for Lewis as well. It's another draw card. The other part of it is, does he follow his head? Like I said, he doesn't want to leave. He doesn't want to leave Britain, really. So does he go with Aston Martin? I mean, Audi is an interesting option. Yes, exactly. So Aston Martin, there's an offer on the table, and I'm sure they've been talking. So the question for me is really, if you're going to move and make a change, and you know the clock's ticking, you've only got a few years left to make one more big sort of era, one more Newey era of car, which lasts for 4, 5, 6 years. Who knows how long? Is it going to be Ferrari? I sort of feel like it might be, but we'll see.
I think this just goes, I mean, maybe this is the simplest story, right? Like, choose the simplest explanation. Let's Occam's way to this, right? What has Fred Vasseur been doing as team principal at Ferrari? He's just like, get me your best guys. Get every single guy who's the best, and I will assemble them together into the monsters.
Top Gun, let's Maverick this shit.
Here we go. Yeah, let's Maverick this shit. Oh, man, he is the Tom Cruise of this situation. Newey, not Vasseur. Maybe it is Vasseur.
Newey's the, is it Iceman?
Yeah.
And Maverick, Hamilton, and then Goose.
And then who are the other guys? Goose. Well, good. Poor Leclerc. That's true. But yeah, so I could imagine that it could work, because if you really want him, it'd be like, right, I only need you in the office 2 days a week, or not at all. I need you in for sprints, right? And you can come over to Italy for like a month and do all of this great work, and then do it remotely for a little bit.
Maybe.
I could see the timing.
Flying for 3 days and fly home for 4 days.
Yeah, exactly right. As if Formula One would ever be shy of flying people around the world on. I mean, they fly parts around on private planes.
I mean, he goes to every. This is the other thing. He goes to every race.
Every race. Yeah.
So that's already half of the year written off. Yeah. So who cares where you live? The other, like, they have 1 month of downtime or something. Who cares where you live for that month?
Yeah, exactly. Anyway. Get back to it. So I think Ferrari. I think.
All right.
Is he? So when's he actually leaving? Because he could leave now, serve a year of gardening leave / non-compete, and get in for the 2026 regulations, where they start designing in the end of 2025. I
have heard that he works for Red Bull as an external contractor, and as such, the gardening rule may not apply, at least not in the way that it would normally apply. That's what I've heard. There's a lot of rumors going around about a lot of things. But
we are not ITK on this at all. I don't know.
No, so we will. I mean, there'll be more to say about this when we know, obviously, where he's going. But I mean, for now, that's the news, and we can speculate.
I know exactly where somebody else is going there, Rob.
Do you? Who?
Yeah, Nico Hulkenberg and Stein.
Where's
Nico Hulkenberg? He's going to Audi Sauber. Saudi. Sauber? No, Saudi's not right. It's El Salvador. Alba's good. Alba.
Let's get into that. Yes, Nico Hulkenberg. So, as happens, this is the thing that happens lately in Formula One, is that there's always like, the news breaks, driver is leaving a team. So this happened. Nico Hulkenberg to exit Sauber at the end of season. And it's like, count to 3, 2, 1. Oh, announcing Nico Hulkenberg's driving for Kick Sauber, which, I mean, I don't, the choice for both of these photos, terrible, really. Behind the glasses. Normally we see actually when a driver's announced at a team that it's a clean shirt, it's very clean skin kind of approach, usually like a white t-shirt or something, because they can't have the logos on them, right?
No.
So there's that. I mean, that gave me the opportunity to dust off this old classic, Nico Hulkenberg, to drive in the 2054 Moon GP, so that's pretty great. But, you know, I feel like for me this was a bit of a surprise. And it really does lead to a bit of speculation about the driver market, which we can dance around the edges of if you want. But it's, I mean, I didn't see it coming necessarily, but it's a decent move. Some people were saying this is bad news for Carlos because Saudi was, Sauber, Audi, we're going to be. Yeah, sorry. Sauber. Alba.
Yeah, Alba.
Sauber, Audi, we're going to be Carlos's backup. And I'm like, it still could be. They've only announced one driver. They didn't announce two. But we'll see.
It was interesting, right? Because he's like, Audi, it's going to be amazing. German team. I'm a German. This is great.
Therefore, amazing.
Therefore equals great. Equals amazing. Wunderbar.
Yeah.
Alles klar. Genau. Yo. So I don't think Carlos's only problem with doing it is like, do you want to go race for Sauber for a year? But that wouldn't be a problem. Like if you've got a good drive and they're going to be good, right? Audi is going to be good. This has, I think, when Mercedes came back into Formula One as a big team, and they were like, we're going to be a manufacturer. We're just going to throw all our money at it and we're going to be really amazing. I think that Audi's going to be similar. I really think that Audi's going to be doing something really similar here. And they've got so much race pedigree, it's just not in Formula One. And I think they've gone, we need a guy, any guy who's German. Let's get the one guy.
Let's get that one guy.
Let's get that one guy. Because they initially went Nico Rosberg, and they're like, he's not in it anymore.
Not that one. Get the other one.
Not that one. Get the other guy who doesn't wear white trousers on the grid. Let's get him. I do have... can we have a quick aside into Nico Rosberg, Chinese Grand Prix commentary?
All right. Go ahead.
This guy is so hot and cold. Oh my God. For me,
he was terrible.
Says nothing and then gives such clear driver insight into why drivers might not want to do a certain thing. Like he's got such a good brain for... I can see why Leclerc's annoyed there because he knows that he wouldn't want to do that because the tires will do this and this is all really bad. And that was so interesting and so good. Jenson Button can be a little bit like that too. When he's just talking about what it's like to be a driver.
Yeah.
Perfect insight, modern contemporary insight. And then the rest of it, throw it in the bin. Hell of a bell. Just junk. No colour, no interest. It's like he's not even paying attention.
No, it was a hot topic of conversation on social media how bad Nico Rosberg was, and not even that, but he would literally say one thing, and 5 seconds later he would say something that contradicted it, and he would be like, "It'll be a miracle if they get that car going again," and they have got it now going again. It's like, well, dude, you're not even worth listening to. No. And the only thing I could point to was that he seemed like he was a bit sick. But look, if you're sick, I don't know.
They're big bundle boots to fill. At least he had more up-to-date information than when Brundle's like, I drove that Force India in 2014 and I know what it's like. I like Brundle.
Right.
Brundle.
That's a bugbear. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Okay, so they got the right Nico. They got the right
one, the one with the good hair. Yeah.
The one with the great hair. I think he'll see them through for a couple of seasons and then they'll have their real driver lineup. He's the tester boy. And I think that the other guy, I wonder if they're going and get another young up-and-coming German or something like that.
I don't know who. I guess there's Mick Schumacher kicking around, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad signing for them, but I don't think that means the door is closed for Carlos to go there if he has to. But this is the other thing I maybe wanted to touch on briefly. What
are the other machinations, Rod?
Well, exactly. I posted this out on Threads and it actually kind of went pretty crazy. But here's what I wrote. This seems like Carlos might do one of these things. He might go to Mercedes alongside Russell. He might do that.
Dreamland.
If Max leaves Red Bull, he will go to Red Bull.
Yes.
That's a thing that's live right now, I think, because apparently after Miami, Red Bull are going to talk to Mercedes. And if, there's only 2 seats in Mercedes, if Max goes there, Carlos just goes to Red Bull and wins the championship next year. Big deal, no worries. If Max stays at Red Bull and Red Bull are worried that Max will leave, then Carlos could still go there and replace Perez. And he could be their backup, right?
Yeah.
And if none of that happens and there's still a seat at Audi, he could go to Audi. And if Audi sign a driver from somewhere else, then Carlos could go to there. So everyone's saying this is really screwed Carlos. He's really lost all of his options here. I just don't think he has at all. I think he's in a great position.
Yeah, I think you're in front of the wall with the red strings and I believe you. I think you've got it all right. There
We'll
is
see.
nothing. And Carlos is like I think he's right to just kind of hold for just a little bit. Like
Yeah,
he knows he is the hot property. He knows he's the guy, and that things are just got to kind of shift around. The thing is, he's a little bit of a mercenary though, so he doesn't have a deep
sure.
connection. Other than Red Bull, he doesn't like have a deep connection anywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And so I'm sure there are. Look, I said it before. If I was Lando Norris, I'd be looking at that Mercedes seat, going like, is that a good long
Yeah, how
term play
wedded,
if they came for me?
how watertight is this watertight McLaren contract that I've got?
Yeah, exactly. It's dipping in the
Um,
water. It seems okay. It seems
yeah,
wet, actually.
like I'm shaking it out. Can we hang it on the line and maybe?
Yeah.
Um, look,
Mm.
I think that we could spend all day going through all the machinations of
And
the
I'd love
driver
to.
lineup. I might touch on that a little bit more, but I know you want to run. Last
Yeah.
thing, I should really just drop this on you and then just kick you off the
Yeah, I
stream.
don't know what this is. Tell me. What is it?
I can't believe you don't know this. The Miami Grand Prix.
Uh-huh.
Ferrari are running special overalls, helmets, cars in
Okay.
blue, not red.
Oh, no, I don't know anything about this. And that's very odd. Why? Because of
Well,
the famous
it
marina. Is that
why
what the
is such a good question? Why?
bring it up. Show
Uh,
me the mock-ups.
I guess I don't have mock-ups just yet. Or I have seen mock-ups, but they were terrible, and I said no, I don't like those.
Just ask
But this is
AI
an
to do it
idea
though.
of the blue because all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, Ferrari's gone. Oh yeah, we have blue as well. Blue's one of their colors, and I was like, what?
Well,
I'm
because
getting a bit sick of being gaslit by Ferrari about how many colors they've got. Next, they'll say like, oh, green, yeah, racing Ferrari, you're racing green. I'll be like, no, this is the blue
well,
we're expecting.
so it is blue is the national color of Italy.
Not
It is
interested,
the,
bro.
it,
Ferrari are
it
red.
it's Azzurri. As the Forza Azzurri
There's two shades of
is
azure. I don't know what you call
yeah.
them. One is lighter blue, one's darker blue.
Yeah, because it depends where on the coast you are. If
Did
you're
you see
on,
those at
if you're
the
in the
Ferrari factory thing?
I didn't, but I have
Okay,
seen that blue on the
okay,
Ferrari California, and it is. Mwah, I love that blue.
right. Do you want to see? Here's another thing I can show you.
Yeah. Oh man, I really
One
want
last
that
thing.
top
I
that
know.
Leclerc is wearing. Oh god, I
That
really
has been the
want it.
other reaction on social media is I want all the merch with all of this stuff
Yeah,
on it. But
please
this
merch me.
this kind
Oh,
of blew me
merch me
away.
like one of your
Here's
French
this
girls.
little, let's see this action shot. So with this, you'll notice the bisexual lighting, the blue and red, which I guess they're trying to keep the red in there a little bit, but it's also blue. Leclerc killing it with his looks here, but Sainz does not. He looks like he doesn't know he's being recorded. Watch
What?
this.
What? What did you want?
Watch this reaction.
Ooh.
Watch this smile. This is Louis Theroux shit. Look at that. How awkward is this? How cringe. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's not good. And someone should have told Carlos as he was getting dressed that he was being recorded because that's not cool. But
I thought we were done. No, but
they're,
I thought you just
they're
wanted my
teasing
opinion. This
out.
seemed nice.
They're teasing out all the details to say here's our merch, and then next is going to be I think helmets and then livery, but it'll be
And
one of the
blue,
Azure
blue
colors.
cars. Oh, like light powder blue, like that Golf blue, that Golf and orange blue.
Yeah,
Is it
like
going to
the
be like
golf. Yeah,
that?
that's right. I know what you mean.
Rod, I'm
So
here
we've got
for it,
that to look
mate.
forward to in
I
Miami.
just like any change. I still remember when Red Bull had the non-shiny paint and they had the zebra car, and we were all just like, they had the matte finish in the zebra car, and we're all just like, just
Goodness
race
me.
with that all season. It's so good. This is the kind of change I'm here for, right? I don't care that Max Verstappen wins every race. I want different colored cars and smaller cars. Somebody
That
else said
might
this the other day. They're like, I was watching a TikTok, and this guy was like, these are the changes you need to make in Formula One. And number one change, make the cars smaller and make them all blue. I'm here for it.
love that. I would love to see that. I would love to see that. I was going to say maybe if people are sick of seeing the Red Bulls win, maybe they should force Red Bull to change their livery, and then at least it'll look different.
Maybe they could change it to like, what would they change it to that would make it annoying and good for all of us? Like, I don't know. All the colors have been used. Maybe like a really
That's the problem.
violet purple, like really like
Yeah, maybe.
purple. That'd be cool.
Well,
Right.
I guess we will see what the
Getting
car
out of
looks
here.
like. I'm sure in a few days, and then we'll see how they go at the race. But I'm gonna kick on and talk
Forza
about a few more
Azzurri.
things.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for popping onto the stream and having a
Ciao,
chat.
ciao. Maybe
See
this
you
kind of
later.
purple is what I'm talking. Yeah. Oh, hey,
Yeah,
I got
you'll
the
probably.
balloons to go.
Oh, whoa. Okay.
All right, I'm getting out of here.
Take
See you,
care.
mate.
See you, mate.
Bye.
Bye. Always nice to have a chat with Zach. Thanks for popping in to cover off some of those important issues. So, yeah, I did say to Zach, I wanted to cover at least those big things. But there's a few other things that are kicking around and that I've got notes and thoughts about. So I thought I would kick onto those. And essentially, where should we start? Maybe we go back to the driver lineup because I do want to talk about some of the things about how the drivers are going to bounce around and who's going to go where, who might go where, and all the rumors and so on and so forth. Can I get a better shot than that? Maybe. No, that's too small. Okay. So someone tweeted out this. I think this is an official Formula One graphic of who is signed for next year. So I put before some of the options that I thought might be good and might work. But if we go through the teams, I can offer some thoughts. And if you agree or disagree, you know what to do. You know where to leave a comment. This isn't your first time on YouTube. So Red Bull, obviously Verstappen for now, confirmed for next year. For now. Obviously, no one signed here. Obviously, as Christian Horner has famously said, you might chalk up Perez's recent performance with the fact that he's due to be, negotiating a recontracting. But let's just say even maybe Carlos Sainz slips into here. So if we do that, we've got Verstappen and Sainz in at Red Bull. Feels good to me. It just feels good to me. Ferrari, Leclerc, Hamilton locked in. Norris, Piastri, and McLaren take those to the bank. Really Aston Martin as well. Fernando Alonso. People really getting all frothy, getting all steamed about the prospects that Lance Stroll might get dropped. Ain't going to happen next year, I can tell you. That's just not a thing that's going to happen. So you could almost take it to the bank as well, Alonso and Stroll over here. We've got Hulkenberg locked in at Sauber. Now, the thing at Sauber is that they've got Bottas and Zhou Guanyu on the books currently. So obviously they can't retain them both unless they maybe put Bottas in the seat and retain Zhou Guanyu as a reserve driver or something like that, which might happen, but we'll see. I've kind of got a feeling that if Sainz goes to Red Bull, for example, that we might see Mr. Bottas retained here, and it'll be Hulkenberg and Bottas, the dream team for Sauber, Audi, Saudi. So where else do we go from here? Now, there's actually rumors that the Alpine driver Ocon might be sought out for the second Sauber seat. I feel like he might be. It seems like the two Alpine drivers want to get the F out of there, so I can understand that. But I feel like if it'll be a question of waiting for what Carlos does. If Carlos ends up at Audi, great. If he doesn't, do they go with Bottas? Do they bring over Ocon? I don't know. Who knows? All bets are off, really. But I sort of don't really see either Gasly or Ocon being in super high demand. We'll see. I kind of see them staying there for another year, though, at least. So let's say it's Bottas here. Almost, you could pencil in Gasly and Ocon over here. Williams, we've got, well, I'll come to Williams because what interests me more is this spot up here at the top, Russell and question mark. Again, I've said that I feel like if, for example, for whatever reason, Red Bull don't want Carlos Sainz, and I think, frankly, they'd be crazy not to get him, but let's say that door closes and they keep Perez or whatever, I feel like we see Carlos Sainz over here next to Russell at Mercedes as, I guess that's the best of the top 4 or 5 teams, which is where Carlos wants to be right now. But let's say Carlos does sign at Red Bull. Do we put Perez over here? I would not, personally. I think that, as some people are suggesting, Kimi Antonelli is in the mix here somewhere. And I know Toto's sort of fishing out there by saying, Toto, this guy.
The car is bad, we know. Please drive it.
That'll be his pitch to Kimi Antonelli to say, come and drive our car. We know it's bad. Toto's been saying, I might put Kimi Antonelli in the car. That's what I might do. But I'm sure that is just his fallback. And if he can get Carlos, he will. He obviously also famously wants to poach Max Verstappen. So this could be Russell Verstappen. But again, assuming Verstappen is settled, Kimi Antonelli might go here. I think if Carlos doesn't slot in at Red Bull, Carlos will go there. The other option, which I think is actually way better, is move Albon. Albon from Williams up from Williams into Mercedes, and Antonelli slots in at Williams. That's a better fit to me. Do you retain Logan Sargent? Again, I would not, but I know that Formula One would love to keep an American driver. Now, is it going to be better for the sport for that American driver to stay at Williams? Would it be better for the American driver to join Haas, the American team? There's an opening because Johnny Bravo here moved over. So maybe we slot Logan Sargent, if he's going to stay in the sport, into Haas. We have here Antonelli. Maybe Perez slots in here. Maybe Zhou Guan Yu slots in here. Guess we'll see. There's another Haas seat. I feel like, I mean, look, I think if Gunter was still in charge, he would definitely keep K-Mag. Gunter's gone. We can't undo that. But I feel like K-Mag may hold on here. That really leaves VCub, which they're in their own world right now. So I feel like they're only really looking at their own drivers. So we've got currently Ricciardo and Tsunoda. Tsunoda's probably fine to stay there. For me, I feel like that's the lock out of the two. Ricciardo or Lawson for the other seat. I guess if that's going to be the equation, then VCub don't need to make a decision necessarily anytime soon. I don't see Ricciardo going to the senior team right now. So, does Ricciardo stay or is he squeezed out? That'll be the question for me. Don't know. What do you think? Let me know. You can let me know on threads. You can let me know on in the comments. Do whatever you like. Just tell me what you think about all that. One more thing. Well, a few more things, I guess, that I wanted to talk about. Zhou Guan Yu, obviously, I was going to point out really emotional scenes of him at his home race. Just really touching. And, his performance, he didn't win the race or anything, but, the way the crowd was reacting and his emotional reaction was just pretty top-notch. That was the other thing I was going to point out. China returning to the grid after a few years of not being on the calendar, but I've just gone through how I think the grid might shake out, and he may not be on the grid next year, so that would be a shame. But I mean, at least we got this year and that great moment. Another story that I wanted to get into a little bit. There's been this rumor going around that the FIA and the teams have been talking about expanding the system for awarding points to the teams. So currently you get points down to 10th, works its way down from 25 points to 1 point. I think it came up on some of the coverage over the weekend, over the Chinese Grand Prix weekend, what people thought about that. Should there be points all the way to the bottom? Should it be tough? Should you have to fight to get into points? They were going to meet about it. I guess I thought it was just going to be dismissed. But then this from ever-reliable Chris Medland, not Chris Medland, the F1 Commission meeting has ended. On the new point scoring system, it was agreed that further analysis of proposed changes were required with a view to a proposal to be presented to the F1 Commission meeting in July. So, unfortunately, a little bit delayed there, and we won't have an answer for a little while. But, having said that, that hasn't stopped people like me and people like some of my favorite riders at the race from weighing in on the prospect and the idea. Now, I haven't even read through this, but I thought what I might do is have a quick browse through some of the hot takes to see what people think about this idea of points down to 12. So it outlines it here. The race understands the new system will remain the same for the top 7 finishers, 25 points down to 6 points, but then distribute 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for 8th through to 12th. So instead of getting 1 point if you're 10th, you would now get 1 point if you are 12th. Now, obviously, to a degree, when the teams are racing, they're really trying to get points. That's the primary thing that determines the order of the teams in the constructors and basically how much money they get. We've seen, for some teams, the difference between getting no points and 1 or 2 points can mean a difference of, $10 million, $15 million. It could make a big deal. Now, when you're watching a race, if you're keen enough, and you probably are, and I am, when you're keen enough to understand that and go, "Oh, it'd be amazing if Sauber get a point here," I guess the thinking is, well, what if they're running in 12th and 13th, and there's a few laps left? What's the incentive for somebody to charge and to attack? I mean, the problem with, yes, expanding it down to 11th and 12th will mean it's more likely for some of those teams that are down the back and don't usually get a chance to get into points. It's more likely for them to get a few here and there, and it will reward them if they perform well more regularly. Obviously, we saw the opportunity of getting, 1 or 2 points had a big impact on teams like Williams recently, right? But that's what's being proposed. Points down to 12th. We'll find out in a couple of months what people think about it. But in the meantime, the journalists have all weighed in. So I wanted to just capture some of their thoughts. This first one is Ben Anderson, who says, honestly, I don't see the points. He points out, is this interesting? It's just going to make watching Alpine, Williams, Sauber, Haas, and RB feel like they're not just trying to beat Lance Stroll every race. That's a very good point. And they point out here as well, remember adding a point for fastest lap if you finish in the top 10? What has that achieved? Really nothing. Absolutely right. We may as well have points for every finishing position. That would at least be the fairest way to run things. I agree. And I mean, it's not like, if you finish 11th in every race, it's not like that's nothing. If another team finishes 11th in half of the races and then is all over the backfield for the rest of the races and you finish level with them on points, there's still a count back for positions. So you'll still be positioned ahead of them if you happen to finish equal points and you have done better in terms of your finishing position. I don't know. I just feel like points makes it a little bit better. Someone also said they don't like, and I'm sure we'll have an opinion here that's along these lines, they don't like the idea of points for everybody because then it gives you it's actually less of an incentive to fight. If you're in 11th, fighting for that 1 point is more valuable than being in 10th and going, well, what's my incentive to fight for 9th? 1 extra point? I'm already in the points, so why risk it? I can see all arguments, but I think you either, I don't know. There's a lot of mucking around the edges of stuff here. Like, it's almost like we just haven't got enough to think about. We haven't got enough to worry about. We haven't got enough to debate about. Let's debate this. There's much bigger fish to fry than this. But look, this is what they want to do. Scott Mitchell-Malm says a more accurate picture. So assuming that means that he is in favour. Yes, it could potentially devalue a points finish, which is what I was kind of just getting at. Points still need to be earned. This system would better reward the teams consistently beating their midfield rivals. So yeah, that's true. So this seems to be, that's a good point there about, this seems really aimed at the wants and needs of the midfield. Less so the backmarkers, which is probably why they don't want points all the way down. To think about it, if you award points down to 20th and then you retire on the first lap, you would get a point. Do you deserve that? Some would argue maybe not. Maybe they could introduce a thing that says you've got to finish the race, and then we wouldn't see teams artificially retiring a few laps before the end so they can, have a free pass to, just make some engineering, some parts changes without penalty. Or like recently when we had Sergio Perez retire from the race, then he was given a penalty, then he unretired, served the penalty, then re-retired. Well, if points were in the mix, maybe that wouldn't happen. The main changes would be Haas moving above RB, Williams at 5 points, Alpine's 1. Yeah, a fairer reflector. So he's kind of saying here that it would give a fairer reflection of the overall performance of the team. I kind of agree. Instead of looking at the points table and seeing the bottom 3 teams all on 0 points or 1 point or 2 points, this would be like, well, that team's on 10 points and this team's on 1 point, so they must be doing better. But you get that if you had points all the way down as well anyway. F1 hasn't gone far enough, says Glenn Freeman. It took a while for the traditionalist in me to make peace with the change to a 25 points for a win. I've never been a fan of the change to give points up to the top 10, but I understand why it was done. Okay. Opening up the points to an extra 2 places doesn't fundamentally change anything. Yeah, that's true. Someone else pointed out as well that another justification for expanding the points might be if more teams are added. So if there was 1 extra team, maybe you say, well, now we've got 22 drivers. So yeah, it makes sense to give points down to 12th now. It's another valid point. You need to go up to around 30 or 35 points for a win under the revised structure. That's a good call too. If we're going to have points all the way down to 20th, you can't have 25 points for a win. You need nearly 50 points for a win to still have some staggering. And the whole point structure as well is geared towards the driver that wins the race. So they should get a bigger chunk of points, even compared to second or third, to reward the driver who wins, to give them the best chance of eventually winning the Drivers' Championship. So that's fair. Point system has other flaws, says Gary Anderson. Yeah, like ditch the point for fastest lap. Get rid of that. Stupid. We need to remember the performance speed was much greater. It wasn't uncommon to see a 7% spread across the grid, which is why the 107% performance rule was put in place. This guy's showing off. Doesn't need that. In most occasions, it's down to 2%. Yeah, so he's saying the field is more bunched up now. That's true. Well, then having more points would help differentiate the field, no? You can finish 11th and still be in a tricky position. Well, that's true. At minimum, it needs to be the top 15 finishers. If not everyone that finishes, that scores points, going from 10th to 12th is a bit short-sighted. I kind of agree. This feels like recognizing that there's a problem, or this is actually not even recognizing that there's a problem. It's pointing it out. Once you point out that, hey, shouldn't we change this? Everyone will be like, oh, well, to not change it is to leave it in this unfair state for the midfield. But to make such a small change is like, well, why even bother? Why not make a big substantial change? Ed Straw coming in strong. Nil points must be preserved. Oh, this guy's a purist, I can tell. Increasing the points paying positions to 12 is logical enough given reliability rates and the desire to better reflect the competitive order down the field, but F1 should go no further. So 12 and then no further he wants. It's essential to be able to fail to some extent, with 0 points an important measure either of a team or a driver that's underperforming or both. Here we go. Take the case of Lance Stroll in China. Was his 15th place after torpedoing Daniel Ricciardo's RB under the safety car really worthy of points? And what would it have said if the terrible Haas of 2021 could just roll around and pick up points week in, week out? Well, that's the point though, Ed, is that they would score 1 point every week and 2 points every week, where the teams in front of them were scoring 5 or 6, instead of almost sitting level with them outside of the points, right? So this, I actually disagree with Ed here. I think that this point that he thinks is really good, I think the opposite is actually true. Matt Beer, F1 has bigger things to fix. Well, no kidding. Yeah, absolutely. The cars are too big. They still can't overtake appropriately enough. Let's get them overtaking better and make them smaller and then get rid of DRS. That would be great. That would be a very popular move. I don't want to get rid of DRS as long as overtaking is still next to impossible. But like, hey, let's fix that. We've got a spending cap, which is sort of a good start. We could probably go further there. But there's lots of things about Formula One that we could make better. Points down to 12th is not a bad or offensive decision, but why is F1 even bothering when it has so many other bigger problems? Well, like what? I can't wait to tell. Oh, here we go. This is great. Right now, it's a frighteningly real prospect that we will know the most likely winner of every single race for the next 20 months. That's 43 Grand Prix and sprints. He's Max Verstappen, if you're not switched on. He's saying basically one of the problems here is Max Verstappen. I actually don't like this narrative. He's saying basically Max Verstappen's going to win every race and we should do something about that. Well, you know who should do something about that? The other teams. Maybe Max will sort it out for us by going to another team, or Adrian Newey will sort it out for us by just going and building an absolute weapon of a car somewhere else. The audience has enough things to watch that are genuinely tense and fascinating and drama-packed from second place backwards. Well, that's true enough. I would say sprints are a bigger problem as well that Formula One needs to look at. Wildly unpopular, incredibly complex and confusing. The changes they made this year are just proving, I think, that no one cares about the sprints. And yet points are awarded. Next thing it'll be we have to fix the sprint points. What other things does he point out here? Throw back to the epic 1989 field of 39 car entries fighting for 6 points. Well, look, I'm sorry, but that's just not going to happen. Countbacks, points for 11th and 12th is unlikely to settle much. That best result countbacks weren't doing anyway. Yeah, sort of true. But I think that goes in the argument of like, this doesn't go far enough. Charlie Williams make every position worth fighting for. So it's very clear what he's doing. IndyCar style points for all would be great. Oh, that's where this is coming from, isn't it? So I wonder if the FIA are throwing this out there to start the debate. And where they actually want to get to is points for everyone, but they don't want to go there just yet. They want everybody to say, look, if you're going to give points for 11th and 12th, you may as well give points to everyone. And they're like, well, what does everyone think about that? Is that cool? Can we do that? I'm sure they would love that. They would love to go to their American fan base and say, it's very, very simple. Do you like IndyCar? It's very simple. The point system is exactly like IndyCar. Points for everything. I guess we'll see. Where do I fall on that? I don't know. I still sort of feel like points for everybody would be good. Unless maybe you don't finish the Grand Prix. That might be all right. We've also got this, and I've been hammering on about this for a long time, about the need for a penalty that is not 5 seconds, but is a 1 position grid drop. Now, if you're in 13th and you get a 1 position grid drop and it drops you to 14th, yes, there's countbacks and everything, but it's not going to affect you in terms of points. But imagine if it does cost you a point. Then all of a sudden, like, there's accountability for the drivers, first for the Lance Strolls torpedoing Daniel Ricciardo's. Getting a penalty for that has consequences if you drop a place. So I think these changes don't go far enough. We need points for every position. If you finish the race, if you're disqualified or you break down, no points. Literally no points for you. And combine that, combo deal, a new penalty, not a time penalty, 1 position drop penalty to be used at the discretion of the stewards. It's just so neat. What else have we got? One last thing that I want to go out on. I just want to talk about this one. One last thing that I want to go out on is obviously mentioning Lance Stroll, Daniel Ricciardo. They had a bit of a coming together of the cars last race. Ricciardo was doing this in the press. He was basically every interview that I saw, he basically said this.
I'm tripping major nutsack right now.
He was not happy. He was basically on the warpath. I mean, some would say he did a good job containing himself, but I would say he did a very good job of communicating what he was thinking without having to say what he was thinking. Let's say that. But the headline that everybody picked up on was Daniel Ricciardo says, fuck that guy, talking about Lance Stroll hitting him. Now, I watched every recorded interview that I could. He didn't say that in any of them, and he might have said it to a print journalist who put it in a story, but everybody picked it up, especially people sharing videos of post-race interview. Ricciardo says, fuck that guy about Stroll hitting him. But none of them included that line, and everyone pointed to the Canal Plus clip where he gives an interview, and then after the interview sort of officially ends, someone walks over and shows Daniel a replay on their phone, and he says something, but it definitely doesn't sound like that. It doesn't sound like that insult, right? He reacts, and he's like, ooh, oh yeah, see, I can't say whatever. But I don't think he actually says, fuck that guy. So it made me think of a couple of things. Number one, did he say that? And if he said it, who did he say it to? And what's the original source for that? I mean, there must be something. I'm sure that not everybody would have printed it or ran with it if he didn't say it somewhere to someone. But there it is. Also, the other weird thing about that was not just Lance Stroll going, well, he breaks, so what am I supposed to do? But also Mike Crack going, yeah, that's a harsh penalty. And I was like, what? No one thinks it's a harsh penalty. They're just salty because of the Fernando Alonso penalty and all the rest of it. And also, he's playing the team game there, really. But it was weird, I thought, for them to come out so strongly and protest that penalty when it was so blatant that it was Lance Stroll's fault and very deserving of a penalty. But getting back to the quote that Ricciardo may or may not have said, it made me think of a few things. Number one, obviously the Hulkenberg Magnussen moment, the infamous suck my balls moment. And it went around the world as Magnussen tells Hulkenberg to suck his balls, honey. Suck my balls, honey. That was the quote. And suck my balls, honey. I don't know if you've watched that clip like after that or recently. Maybe go and watch it. But he does not say suck my balls, honey. He just doesn't. He says suck my balls. I think he says suck my balls, man. But someone just interpret it in their own head. Suck my balls, honey. And that went everywhere. And everyone was saying, suck my balls, honey. That's me saying suck my balls too many times. But it just goes to show you that someone will just be like, is that what he said? And all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, he said that. And then it made me think of this other clip as well. There was a race, and I can't remember what one it was. Might have been 2017, where it was at the height of the Mercedes kind of era, dominant era, and it was Hamilton Rosberg. And Rosberg, I think, had won the race maybe over Hamilton, and Martin Brundle was doing the interview up on the podium, and they sprayed the champagne, and then they were like, thanks very much, and then they walked back behind the podium. And Brundle was on a hot mic, and I thought that he said, I hate that guy, Rosberg. I thought that he had said that because there was a big, it was a very pro-British thing and tensions were very high. And I watched that clip I must have watched it 100 times, and I tried to isolate the audio to get a clear capture of Martin Brundle saying, I hate that guy, Rosberg. I could never get anything close to definitive. But I was really annoyed because I was like, I'm sure that's what he said. In my heart, I know that's what he said. But look, maybe that's just me making up some rubbish, making up some absolute junk. And maybe it's true. Maybe it's not true. Maybe I just need to go and do this.
Mate, where's the toilet paper?
And maybe just hearing Brundle admit that he hates Rosberg gave me this.
I'm getting a hard-on in the middle of the race.
I don't know. So I reserve judgment, but I just want the source. I just want to know, who did Ricardo say fuck that guy to? And who can verify it as true and not just something that someone made up? A bit of paddock scuttlebutt. Look, thanks so much for watching. That's the end of the live stream today. And I'm going to, we've been putting out these little mini segments, which have been going really well. And the YouTube shorts are going off like crazy. Everyone loves the YouTube shorts. And then I'm like, but here's the whole segment. And they're like, yeah, we don't like the whole segment so much. Have you got something that's 1 minute instead of 4 minutes or 5 minutes? And I'm like, it hurts my feelings. Please watch the segments or the whole live stream. We would love to have you on, and drop us a comment and whatever. But look, in the meantime, I will say my farewells. We will ramp up some music here, and I hope you can follow us on Threads to stay in touch about all the developments of all the things that happen. It's fun to banter with people during the race weekends as well. So give us a shout out if you're interested in, I don't know, if you've got some hot takes or you want to respond to our takes. Hit us up on Threads. Jump in the Discord too if you want. We're still doing the old predictions where you predict who is going to take pole and win and 10th. I've seen a few people, especially on Threads, running their own little side hustles where they get people to predict 10th. And I'm just waiting for someone to notice that we do that and say, hey, you stole that from us. And I can say, hey, been doing it for literally 11 years. And we probably didn't even think of it first. But, I won't be having anyone accusing me of stealing anything from them. But yeah, jump in the Discord if you want to just stay on top of things, reach out to us and say hello. It'd be lovely to hear from you all. But until next time, I'm going to take off. I've been Rod. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you at the Miami Grand Prix.